Has the question ever been asked? Perhaps it surfaced during a quiet family dinner, disrupting the comfortable clatter of forks on plates. Or maybe it emerged on a long, otherwise unremarkable car ride, or in a casual phone call that suddenly felt anything but casual. The very air in the room seems to change, to thicken. A subject that has lingered for years in the unspoken shadows is suddenly, unceremoniously, brought into the harsh light, often clumsily, sometimes bluntly. Mom, they might begin, their tone attempting a casualness that doesn't quite land. Dad, we were just wondering, what exactly are your plans for the house down the road? Or perhaps it's even more direct, stripped of all pretense. Have you thought about the inheritance and how it's going to be divided? In that single, breathtaking moment, a knot of ice tightens in your stomach. It's a question that feels less like genuine curiosity and infinitely more like a cold, calculating appraisal. Suddenly, in their eyes, you are no longer just their parent, the person who held their hand as they took their first steps, the one who soothed their fevers through long nights, the one who sacrificed dreams and desires for their well-being. You feel as though you have been subtly, yet profoundly, transformed into a line item on some future balance sheet, a walking, talking bank account with a life expectancy attached. The pain of that moment is unlike any other because it feels like a betrayal of the deepest and most sacred trust, the one between a parent and a child. It is a moment that can make you question everything you thought you knew about your relationship. If you have ever felt the sharp, cold, and lonely sting of disrespect, if you have ever been made to feel more like a placeholder for your own assets than a living, loving, breathing human being, I want you to hear me very clearly. You are not alone in this painful experience, and you are not imagining the disrespect. Today, we are not just going to talk about this deeply wounding experience. We are going to arm you with the dignity, the boundaries, and the powerful, unshakable responses you need to end this hurtful conversation for good and to reclaim your rightful place as the respected, honored head of your family. Before we delve into the very heart of this incredibly sensitive and vital topic, I would be so thankful if you would take a moment to support our work and, more importantly, our growing community of wise elders. If you believe this conversation is a necessary one in our modern world, please take a brief moment to press the like button and to subscribe to our channel so that you never miss our deep dive guidance sessions. But more than anything else, I truly and genuinely want to hear your voice. The comments section of our videos has become a sanctuary, a place of shared wisdom and profound validation. If you have faced this difficult situation yourself, or if you carry the fear that you might one day, please consider sharing your story or your thoughts below. Your personal experience, your perspective, could provide immeasurable strength, comfort, and a sense of solidarity to someone else who is feeling hurt, confused, and utterly alone right now. Your perspective is the lifeblood and the soul of this community. To effectively and gracefully address this issue, we must first seek to understand it from a place of wisdom, not just woundedness. Why do adult children, people whom we love with every fiber of our being and have raised to the best of our ability, sometimes behave in a way that feels so profoundly greedy and deeply disrespectful? It's rarely as simple as them being bad people or inherently selfish. The first and often most charitable reason is genuine, albeit clumsily and poorly expressed, anxiety about their own lives. They are navigating a world that is far less financially stable and predictable than the one many of us built our lives in. They are facing immense pressures of their own, crippling student loan debt, astronomical housing costs, the relentless rise in the cost of living, and deep-seated fears about their own ability to retire securely. In this context, they often look to their parents' accumulated assets, the home you worked for 30 years to pay off, the savings you painstakingly built, as a potential and sometimes only safety net. Their intrusive questions, though they land like daggers, can sometimes stem from their own deep-seated terror about their own future. They are not necessarily wishing you were gone. In many cases, they are terrified of what will happen to them when you are. While this understanding does not excuse the profound disrespect of their inquiry, it can help us approach the conversation with a bit more perspective and a little less raw, reactive emotion. The second reason, and this one is a much harder pill to swallow, is a deeply ingrained sense of entitlement. This is a corrosive attitude that is often, and I say this with the utmost gentleness and without blame, unintentionally fostered and cultivated by the parents themselves over the course of many years. Parents who have always sacrificed, who have always put their children's needs and wants before their own, who have bailed them out of financial trouble time and time again without ever establishing firm consequences, can inadvertently teach their children a dangerous lesson that their parents' resources are, in fact, an extension of their own. They have grown so accustomed to you being the provider, the fixer, and the rescuer that they have fundamentally failed to develop a healthy respect for the profound truth that the assets you have acquired are the direct result of your lifetime of labor. Your sleepless nights, your sacrifices, and are intended for your security and your well-being first and foremost. And the third, and perhaps most painful reason, is quite simply a fundamental breakdown in the parent-child dynamic. It is a clear and alarming sign that the sacred lines of respect have been allowed to blur over time. This often happens slowly, almost imperceptibly. As parents age, children may subconsciously begin to see them as less capable, less authoritative. They make subtle but significant shifts from seeing you as a wise authority figure to seeing you as someone who now needs to be managed. Their intrusive questions about your finances in this context can be a misguided, even arrogant, attempt to exert control. It is born from a place of concern that has soured into a deep and disrespectful condescension. They see slowing down physically, and they begin to view your life's assets as a project to be managed, a portfolio to be optimized for their future, rather than the sacred result of a life well lived. Now, regardless of their underlying reason, be it their own anxiety, their learned entitlement, or their misguided sense of control, the impact on you is precisely the same. It is demeaning, it is dishonorable, and it is a dynamic that must be addressed with clarity and strength. So, what do? How do you respond in that gut-wrenching moment to reclaim your dignity and put a firm, final end to this line of conversation? Let us now move on to the powerful, practical, and actionable steps you can and should take. The very first and most critically important action you must take is what I call the strategic pause and the reflective question. When that hurtful and inappropriate question is asked, your first, raw human instinct will be to react emotionally. You will likely feel a powerful surge of anger, a deep welling of hurt, or a defensive desire to shut them down immediately and forcefully. You must, with all the willpower you can muster, fight this instinct. Do not answer their question. Do not lash out. Do not raise your voice. Instead, I want you to take a slow, deliberate, and very visible breath. Create a moment of profound and slightly uncomfortable silence. Let it hang in the air for a beat longer than is socially comfortable. This pause is, in and of itself, a significant power move. It non-verbally communicates that the question they have asked was inappropriate, out of line, and has genuinely given you pause. It stops the casual flow of the conversation in its tracks and instantly signals that you are not going to be pulled into a flippant or off-the-cuff discussion about the end of your life and the disposition of your property. After that powerful beat of silence, you are still not going to answer their question. Instead, you're going to turn the question back on them with a calm, level, and deeply inquisitive tone. You will say something like this: "That's an interesting question. Can you help me understand why you're thinking about that right now?" Or, if you prefer a slightly more direct version, "I'm surprised to hear you ask that. What prompted that particular question to come up today?" Notice the genius of what this does. It immediately and completely shifts the dynamic of the conversation. You are no longer on the defensive, being forced to justify your own life, your own planning, your own assets. You have placed the entire burden of justification squarely back onto their shoulders. They are now the ones who must explain their motives. And in the vast majority of cases, they will be completely and utterly unprepared for this calm, analytical response. They will stammer. They will backtrack. They might say something weak like, "Oh, we were just curious," or, "Well, we were just trying to plan for our own future." This kind of fumbled response immediately exposes the weakness, the selfishness, and the inappropriateness of their original inquiry. This single, elegant technique allows you to take back absolute control of the conversation without a shred of aggression, and it opens a valuable window into their true motivations. It forces them to hear their own greedy or anxious thoughts spoken out loud, and often the simple, embarrassing act of having to articulate their reasoning is enough to make them realize how profoundly disrespectful they have been. This leads us directly to the second and most foundational action. You must clearly, calmly, and unequivocally redefine the narrative. This is what I call your "while I'm alive" speech, and it is a fundamental boundary that you must set with unshakable, unwavering conviction. After their fumbled explanation to your reflective question, you state your position. You can say something calm, loving, but incredibly firm, like this: "I appreciate you sharing that, but I believe we need to be crystal clear about something. The assets that your father and I have built over 50 years of very hard work are here for one primary purpose and one purpose only: to fund our lives while we are living them. They are here for our financial security, for our future healthcare needs, for our peace of mind, and yes, for our joy. If, after we have both lived out our lives as fully and as completely as we wish, there is anything left over, then we have, of course, made thoughtful plans for that. But our savings, our home, our investments, they are not a waiting room for an inheritance. They are the fuel for our lives right now." This is a profoundly important statement. It systematically dismantles the entire insidious concept of them having a claim or a right to your money before you have passed. It reframes your property and your savings not as a future inheritance, but as your current, active, and essential life support system. It is a powerful reminder to them, and perhaps even to yourself, that you are not finished living yet. I remember a wonderful woman, let's call her Helen, whose son casually brought up the idea of her selling her larger family home to free up some capital that she could then gift to him. She used this very technique. She told him, calmly and without anger, "The capital in this house is already freed up. It is providing me with the daily capital of a roof over my head, the simple joy of my garden, and the deep security of a place that holds all of my most precious memories. While I am alive, that is its job." That particular conversation is now over. Her son, she told me, was stunned into silence, but he never brought it up in that way again. By delivering this message, you are not being selfish. You are demonstrating profound self-respect. And self-respect is the absolute bedrock upon which the respect of others is built. The third crucial action is to consciously shift the language you use from the emotional to the professional. You must intentionally move the entire framework of the conversation away from the word inheritance and towards the term estate plan. These two terms may seem similar, but they carry vastly different emotional weights and connotations. The word inheritance sounds like a lottery win, a magical windfall, a prize to be won at the end of a race. The term estate plan, on the other hand, sounds like a serious, private, and legally binding matter that is being handled with care by qualified professionals. When the topic comes up again, or as a direct follow-up to your "while I'm alive" speech, you can say with quiet confidence, "We have, of course, thought very carefully about the future. We have a comprehensive estate plan that has been prepared with our lawyer and our financial advisor. It is, by its very nature, a private document, and all of our wishes for after we're gone are clearly and legally laid out in it. It is handled, it is complete, and frankly, it is not a matter that is open for family discussion or debate." This impeccably professional approach achieves several critical things at once. It immediately and effectively shuts down any further prying questions or clumsy attempts to influence your decisions. It firmly establishes you as a competent, organized, and proactive adult who is responsibly managing your own complex affairs, which directly counteracts any subconscious notion they may have that you are becoming frail or incapable. And perhaps most importantly, It completely depersonalizes the entire conflict. You are no longer arguing about your love, your fairness, or your generosity. You are simply stating the objective fact that a private, legally executed plan is already in place. This skillfully takes all of the emotional ammunition out of their hands. It is very difficult for them to argue with a private legal document that they have no right to see. To add another layer of indisputable authority, you can even add, "Our advisors have strongly counseled us that discussing the specific details of our estate plan with family members can cause unnecessary and painful conflict, and we have made the decision to follow their professional advice." This makes it crystal clear that this boundary is not just your personal preference, but a matter of sound, professional counsel. This brings us to the fourth, and perhaps one of the most difficult, but absolutely necessary actions. You must be willing to gently but firmly attach a consequence to their continued disrespect. People, even our own beloved children, will only ever treat us with the level of respect that we ourselves demand and enforce. If their intrusive and hurtful questions continue after you have set these clear, verbal boundaries, it is time to show them that their behavior has tangible, logical repercussions. This is not about making angry threats or being punitive for the sake of it. It is about calmly and rationally stating a simple and logical cause and effect relationship. The next time they push the issue, you can say, with a tone of quiet disappointment rather than overt anger, "You know, when you bring this up, it is very painful for me. Conversations like this make me feel as though my financial worth has become more important to you than my current well-being. And I have to be completely honest with you, it makes me feel less inclined to be generous in the future. My desire to give, both now and in the future, comes from a place of love and joy, not from a place of pressure or obligation. And this kind of conversation damages that feeling entirely." This is an incredibly powerful and effective statement. You are not saying, "If you ask me again, I am cutting you out of the will." That is pure melodrama and invites further conflict. Instead, you are maturely and honestly stating that their actions are directly and negatively impacting your feelings of generosity. You are, in effect, teaching them a crucial lesson in financial and relational boundaries that they perhaps should have learned long ago. That generosity is a gift, not a guarantee. For many adult children who have subconsciously come to see their parents' assets as a given, the sudden, stark realization that their own disrespectful behavior could jeopardize their future financial standing can be a potent and sobering wake-up call. It forces them to a personal crossroads. Is their immediate curiosity and their sense of entitlement more important than maintaining a loving, respectful relationship that might also include future generosity from a place of love? It returns the power and the choice to you, right where it belongs. Finally, we come to the fifth and ultimate action, the one that requires no words at all, but speaks louder than any speech ever could. You must live your life fully, joyfully, and visibly. You must show them, not just tell them, that your money is for you right now. This is the most profound and elegant way to dismantle their sense of entitlement and put this issue to rest forever. If you have spent your entire life diligently saving and being frugal for the future, it is now time to give yourself the glorious permission to enjoy the fruits of your own labor. Take that spectacular trip to Italy you've always dreamed of. Renovate the kitchen with the countertops you've wanted for 20 years. Buy the safer, more comfortable car that will bring you peace of mind. Donate generously and openly to a charity or a cause that you are personally passionate about. When your children see you living a vibrant, active, and fulfilling life that is being actively funded by your own resources, it sends a powerful and undeniable visual message. This is my life. This is my money. I am using it for my happiness. It physically and psychologically demonstrates that your assets are not sitting in some dusty, untouched vault, just waiting for them to inherit. They are an active, flowing, and vital resource for your joy, your comfort, and your security in the here and now. I knew a wonderful couple who faced this very issue with their children. After setting the firm verbal boundaries we've discussed, they went ahead and booked a magnificent cruise to Alaska, something they had talked about for years but had always put off for one day. They sent postcards home, They posted photos online of themselves smiling in front of glaciers. Their children, who had been grumbling about the rising cost of college for their own kids, went completely silent on the topic of their parents' finances. It was simply impossible for them to argue that their parents' money should be preserved for their benefit, when they could clearly see it was being used for its one, true, rightful purpose, creating happiness and cherished memories for the very people who had earned it. This beautiful act of living fully is not about spending your money recklessly or spitefully. It is about completely eliminating the corrosive perception that you are merely a custodian of their future wealth. You are the rightful beneficiary of your own hard work. Live like it. This is the most elegant, powerful, and definitive way to regain your dignity. In closing, navigating this painful and delicate conversation is undoubtedly one of the most difficult emotional challenges of growing older. It strikes at the very heart of the parent-child bond, a sacred bond you have lovingly nurtured for a lifetime. But you must always remember your value as a human being and as a parent is not and has never been tied to the size of your bank account. Your true worth is measured in your wisdom, your unconditional love, your remarkable resilience, and the beautiful life you have lived. When your children's questions about money make you feel small, please remember that it is a profound reflection of their own anxieties, their own entitlement, or their own fears. It is not and never will be a reflection of your worth. By pausing and questioning, by redefining the narrative of your own assets, by professionalizing the language surrounding your estate plan, by gently attaching consequences to continued disrespect, and most importantly, by living your own life with joyful and unapologetic abandon, you are not just setting financial boundaries. You are reteaching them how to see you. You are reminding them that you are the parent, the elder, the matriarch or patriarch of the family, the one who deserves unwavering honor and respect until your very last breath. In doing so, you are reclaiming your peace of mind, and most importantly of all, you are reclaiming your dignity. Thank you so much for joining us for this vital conversation. Your strength inspires us all. Please share your own wisdom in the comments below. And if you found this video to be a source of strength and clarity, please like, subscribe, and share it with another parent who may desperately need to hear it. We look forward to seeing you again.